Yeah, so 7-3 would be the final score in favor of the Kings. I forgot my video stopped when I got to like 30 some odd minutes. So there's a good chance that these videos back to back might be split. So I apologize about that one. All right. Nashville played host to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jonathan Marchessault would kick things off in the first, getting his 9th of the year from Forsling and Schenn, 3:51 of the opening frame. Brian Rust would tie the game up at 16:21 of the first, getting his 13th goal of the season from Mikkel and Crosby. Luke Evangelista would put the Preds back on top, getting a power play goal with 2 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the first, getting his 4th of the year from Novak and Braden Shea. Steven Stamkos would increase the lead to 3-1, getting his 9th goal of the year from Forsling and Nyquist, 3:38 of the second period. Sidney Crosby would cut into the lead, getting his 9th goal of the year on the power play from Karlsson and Brian Rust, 7:54 of the middle frame. Rickard Rakell would tie the game up at 9:08 of the second, getting his 15th of the year from Crosby and Rust. Brady Shea would put the Preds back on top in the third, getting his 3rd goal of the year from O'Reilly and LaRue, 7:44 of the third. Erik Karlsson would tie the game up at 4, getting his 3rd goal of the season from Grizzlejack and Sidney Crosby. We would need overtime to settle this one, and Brian Rust would get the game-winning goal just 1 minute and 7 seconds into the overtime frame, his 14th of the year from Malkin and Letang. All right, now we're off to Chicago as the Blackhawks played host to the Seattle Kraken. Ilya Mikheyev would kick things off in the second, getting his 5th of the year from Teravainen, 10:54 of the middle frame. He would score again in the third, getting his 2nd goal of the game, his 6th of the season from Teravainen and Tyler Bertuzzi, 6:06 of the third. Riker Evans would score for the Kraken, getting his 4th of the year from Bjorkstrand and Montour, 11:26 of the third. And Nolan Allen, I believe, will get his first National Hockey League goal from Donato and Murphy, 15:11 of the third, increasing the lead to 3-1, and that's where we'd stand at the end of regulation. All right, the Calgary Flames played host to the Ottawa Senators. Blake Coleman would kick things off for the Flames in the first, getting his 7th goal of the year from Ball and Coronado, 12:14 of the first. With exactly 1 minute remaining on the clock, Nick Cousins would strike, tying the game up at 1. That'd be his 4th of the year from Sanderson and Hamonic. In the second period, the Flames were on the power play, but unfortunately, Riley Gregg would get a shorthanded goal, his 3rd of the season, unassisted, 6:24 of the third. On that same power play, Jonathan Huberdeau would strike, tying the game up at 2, getting his 12th goal of the year from Coronado and Zari. 7:16 of the third. We would need overtime to settle this one, and the captain, Brady Tkachuk, would get the game-winning goal, his 16th of the year from Stützle and Ullmark. Just 55 seconds in the overtime frame. The Edmonton Oilers played host to the Boston Bruins. Elias Lindholm, who has been kind of MIA recently when it comes to scoring, would score in back-to-back games, one against Calgary and obviously this one against the Oilers, getting his 5th goal of the year from Marchand McAvoy, 1 minute and 7 seconds into the opening frame. Mark Kaselak would score 2 minutes with 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go, getting his 4th goal of the year from Beecher and Carlos. The Bruins had a 2-0 lead in the first. Zach Hyman would cut into the lead in the second, getting his 11th goal of the year from Draisaitl, 11:17 of the middle frame. Connor McDavid would score with 2 minutes and 21 seconds to go in the third, getting his 15th of the year from Hyman and Draisaitl. We would need overtime to settle this one, and Matthias Ekholm would get the game-winning goal, his 4th of the year from Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl, 1 minute and 4 seconds in the overtime frame. So despite the fact that Oilers were down 2-0 in the first, they would score 3 straight goals and win 3-2. All right, the Vancouver Canucks were in Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. Teddy Bluger, the former Vegas Golden Knight, would open up the scoring for Vancouver in the first, getting his 5th goal of the year from Sherwood and Danton Heinen, 8:15 of the opening frame. Alex Pietrangelo would tie the game up with 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go in the second, getting his 3rd goal of the year from Theodore and Mark Stone. William Karlsson would break the tie early in the third, getting his sixth of the year from Brett Howden, 3:44 of the third. The Canucks pulled their goalie down, but unfortunately it did not pan out as Brett Howden would get the empty net goal assisted by Noah Hanifin, and that happened with 50 seconds to go in the game. So Vegas would win 3-1. And the last game from Thursday, December 19th, took place in San Jose as the Sharks played against the Colorado Avalanche. Valeri Shushkin would kick things off for the Avs in the first, getting his 9th goal of the season on the power play from Makar and McKinnon. Carl Grundstrom would get his first goal as a San Jose Shark from Rutta and Kunin, 4:26 of the second. William Ekblad would give the Sharks a 2-1 lead, 9:29 of the middle frame, getting his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Cody Ceci and Luke Kunin. Mikko Rantanen would tie the game up at 2 in the third, getting his 6th goal of the season on the power play, his 19th of the year from McKinnon and Makar. Those three guys are extremely dangerous, whether it's 5-on-5 or with a man advantage. Yoel Kiraventa would put the Avs on top, 13:06 of the third period, getting his 6th goal of the year, assisted by O'Connor. Kiraventa would score again his 2nd goal of the game from Lehkonen and Mittelstadt, 15:58 of the third, increasing the lead to 4-2, and that would be the final score in favor of the Avs. Okay, now we're off to Friday, December 20th. I'm slowly getting there. There were a total of 4, 5, 6, 7 games from December 20th, starting in Detroit as we had an original 6 matchup between the Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens. Emil Heineman would kick things off for Montreal in the first, getting his 7th goal of the season from Evans and Matheson, 7:09 of the opening frame. Patrick Kane would tie the game up at 1, getting his 5th goal of the year from Kopp and DeBrincat, 13:27 of the first period. Jake Evans would break the tie with 1:29 seconds to go. Despite being shorthanded, he'd get a goal, his 6th of the season, unassisted. Joey Foligno would tie the game up at 2 with 33 seconds to go. 3rd goal of the season from Petrie and Rasmussen, tying the game up at 2, heading into the second period. There was no scoring in the second. Tyler Motte would put the Red Wings up 3-2, 1:40 into the third, getting his 2nd goal of the season, assisted by Rasmussen. Arbor Xhekaj would finally get his 1st goal of the season. Holy cow. From Armia and Heineman, 8:42 of the third period. And Patrick Laine, a big surprise, Mr. Clutch would get the game-winning goal on the power play, his 7th of the season from Hudson and Cole Caulfield, 12:02 of the third. That would be the final score in favor of Montreal. The Buffalo Sabres played host to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Bobby McMahon would kick things off for Toronto in the first, getting his 8th goal of the year from Domi and Robertson, 1:29 of the first. Austin Matthews would increase the lead to 2-0, getting a power play goal, his 11th of the season from Nylander and Marner, 6:05 of the first period. Nicholas Robertson would increase the lead to 3-0, getting his 5th goal of the year from Riley and Timmins, 1:53 into the second period. J.J. Peterka would finally get the Sabres on the board, 2:22 of the second, getting his 9th of the year from Cousins and Clifton. Max Domi, who seems to be found something, he got 3 goals in 3 straight games, would get his 3rd goal of the year from McMahon and Marner, 4:27 of the second period, putting the Leafs on top 4-1 at that point. Max Pacioretty, I still can't believe he signed with the Leafs. He could have gone any of the other teams, but man, when a former Hab joins Toronto, it's just like, come on. We'll get his 5th goal of the year from Nylander and Tavares, 10:47 of the second period, increasing the lead to 5-1 at that point. Matthias Samuelsson would cut into the lead, getting his 2nd goal of the season from Owen Power and Peterka, making it 5-2 at that point, 15:56 of the second. Owen Power would cut into the lead a little bit more, getting his 5th goal of the year from Kulich and Samuelsson, 11:56 of the third. William Nylander would double up on the lead, 6-3, with 20 seconds to go. An empty net goal, his 21st of the season from Tavares and Tanev. The Florida Panthers played host to the St. Louis Blues. Oscar Sundqvist, who I'm pretty sure is in his 3rd tenure with the Blues, if I'm not mistaken, would kick things off, getting his 3rd goal of the year from Texier and Bolduc halfway through the first. Uvis Unskis would get his first goal of the season from Barkov and Kachuk, 10:58 of the second period. And then this game would need overtime. There's no scoring in the third. Captain Barkov would get the game-winning goal with 17 seconds to go on the power play, his 10th of the year from Ekblad and Reinhardt. The Washington Capitals played host to the Carolina Hurricanes. Alexei Protas would kick things off for the Capitals with 40 seconds to go in the first, getting his 12th of the year from Majapani and Roy. Jacob Vrana would get his fifth goal of the season, from Lapierre and Radish, 16-11 of the second period, giving them a 2-0 lead. Connor McMichael would give them a 3-0 lead with 27 seconds to go in the second, his 16th of the year from Verhaeghe, Farabee, and Dubois. Seth Jarvis would score in the third period, finally get the Hurricanes on the board, getting his 9th of the year from Aho and Burns, 10:22 of the third period. Unfortunately, they were not able to mount a comeback, so the Capitals would win 3-1. The New York Rangers, who were definitely reeling at this point, were in Dallas to take on the Stars. Rupe Hintz would kick things off for Dallas in the first, getting his 14th of the year from Lundqvist and Jason Robertson, minute 46 of the opening frame. Riley Smith would get a short goal in the first, his 7th of the season unassisted, 10:44 of the opening frame. Vincent Trocheck would score with 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first, getting his 9th of the year from Fox and Panarin, putting the Rangers up 2-1 at that point. There was no scoring in the second. We have to go all the way to the third with just over 2 minutes to go. Dallas pulled their goalie. Unfortunately, they couldn't tie it. Chris Kreider would get the empty net goal, his 11th of the season from Cooley and Trocheck. So the Rangers finally won a game after being so dismal for so long. Where are we? The Minnesota Wild played host to the Utah Hockey Club. Matt Zuccarello kicked things off for the Wild in the first, getting his 7th goal of the season from Kaprizov and Rossi, 10:20 of the opening frame. Dylan Guenther would tie the game up in the first, getting his 15th of the year from McBain and Cooley, 11:20 of the first period. And then no scoring in the second, but Guenther would get 2 goals in this game. Game-winning goal coming over halfway in the third on the power play, his 16th of the season from Sergachev and Captain Clayton Keller. The last game from Friday took place in Anaheim as the Ducks played host to the Colorado Avalanche. There was no scoring in the first. Leo Carlsson would break the tie in the second, getting his 7th goal of the year from Trouba and McGinn, 2:40 of the middle frame. Parker Kelly would tie the game up for Colorado in the second, his 3rd of the season, a shorthanded goal from O'Connor, 6:40 of the second frame. Valeri Nichushkin would put the Avs on top, 10:57 of the second, getting his 10th goal of the year from Makar, who has 32 assists, and McKinnon has 40 assists already. That is scary. The Avs had a 2-1 lead at that point. Makar would increase the lead to 3-1, getting his 10th goal of the year from McKinnon, 41 assists, and Rantanen, 30 assists. Again, those 3 guys are extremely dangerous, especially on the special teams. 3.5 minutes into the third, increasing the lead to 3-1. Alex Killorn would cut into the deficit, making it 3-2, getting his 7th of the year from Minchukov, 13:05 of the third period. Anaheim would pull their goalie. McKinnon would get the empty net goal, his 14th of the year from Rantanen and Nichushkin. A minute 19 to go in the game, so Colorado would win 4-2.